All right, we're here for another live stream. It's been a while. It's hot. Maybe I don't have any video though. That'd be bad. Okay, there we go. It's working. Whew. Thought cameras were overheating or something. All right. You might hear my AC a little bit. I got a window unit because it's 4 billion degrees everywhere. All right. So Mitch asked the question, what's the story behind why you rarely see aquariums in doctor's offices, malls, and stores anymore? I think this has been going on for a while, and I think it basically comes down to just money and profitability and that kind of stuff. Over the last, let's say 10 years, pick a point, right? Business in general has gotten more difficult on a lot of fronts, and, whether it's wages going up, insurance is going up, rent's going up, supply chain issues lately, pick a bunch of those. But the hardships of having public aquarium, you have to pay someone to maintenance it. Those fees go up over time. A lot of times, like in a doctor's office and hospital, that kind of stuff, you have to carry insurances, and those policies have gotten quite expensive because it's just an extra liability. And then you've just got the whole, why? It's not really bringing in more people anymore. And I think that in the last 10 years, we've really seen a huge shift in America to online shopping. Now, we all know that. We're all like, yeah, we buy some stuff online, but it doesn't slap you in the face until you go to Germany or Europe or somewhere and you're like, wait, there's not 50 Amazon trucks on this road right now? Like, everyone's not getting deliveries? That's bizarre. You go into a retail store and they're like, there's a lot of people here? That's also bizarre, right? So when we move to online shopping like we have as a country, there's less and less motivation to have that retail experience. Now, you might, a lot of things go full circle into where it becomes so rare that now if you do have one, it's an attraction, right? So I don't know if we've hit that cycle yet. We're somewhere in the middle probably of like, yeah, I used to have them. Maybe you see them at a restaurant still. I mean, I still see them at restaurants, I guess. But the reality is, as things get tighter for businesses, they're going to cut expenses. And where we first started really seeing it happen, I feel like, because I used to run a maintenance company, was retirement facilities. And not to get too political or anything, but basically, people's retirement or fixed incomes, Social Security, that kind of stuff, isn't really changing. But all the costs associated with running a facility like that continually goes up. And so if you have a customer who can't afford to pay more because there is no more money for them to have, you have to cut things that you provide that customer. And maybe the aquarium in the entryway is one of those because it costs $300 a month to have it serviced or something. And I think that's, in a very short level, why we see a lot less public aquariums is that was an easy one to go, let's call that one done and try to not increase prices to customers. We had the same battle. That's why we don't ship stickers anymore, is we basically had costs going up and things, and it's like, we have to give something up here, and the freebie is what we're going to give up instead of, we had to raise prices for shipping also, but instead of increasing it more, right? And so that's what I think we're going to see a lot of over a lot of different sectors, not just seeing aquariums and stuff. We're going to see stuff that, you might see that restaurant like, now it's 10 cents for, tartar sauce or something, where it used to be free a year ago, and there's some restaurants that have always done that. And, but we're going to see a little more of I guess it's going to be a little more transparent for people to see like, I actually have to pay for shipping now. That's bizarre. And instead of not, including free. And a good example, I've got it right here. So here we have the Aquariumcoop tote bag. This thing is officially in stock at our retail store and here at my house. It hasn't made it to the warehouse yet. But this big bag that's awesome and insulated, right? Comes with a strap so you can take it to the beach and all that. I made a great bag. I love it. My wife loves it. We've been testing it for a year. It's finally here. This bag, if you walk into our retail store, is $9.99 and is sweet. I love it. To sell these online, though, the shipping alone is at minimum $18 because we ship everything fast. So that means we're probably going to have to sell this thing at like 25 and make no money on it. And we're probably only going to sell it to members because it's an item where we can lose a little bit of money and not make any money. We don't really want just random person off the street going, I'll take 10 of those. It's like, well, we just lost $20, you know? So, but we are willing to do that as an exchange for membership, loyalty, that kind of stuff of like, yeah, we want people to have this because it's cool. We designed it. It's great, but we don't make money off it. So we're not looking to be like, we had to spin up a whole wing of the warehouse to ship these things out we make no money on. So yeah, just know that. And then I also said, I think in Steve Fott's live stream, we'd have these available for Aqua Shella next weekend. That was a lie. We cannot find a way to get them there fast enough without paying an absurd amount of money. So we have a different giveaway we're doing there for the members. Everyone still gets a free t-shirt. That's my bad for not foreseeing that shipping would just be a train wreck right now. So yeah, you know, feel free to go, hey, how dare you in person? I'll go, yeah, sorry, I'll try to give cooler free stuff away more often in the future. Glad to see you, Stefan. Lots of members kind of rejoining, coming back, that kind of stuff. I've been away for a little while. I want to tell people I'm taking it easy, but that's not the truth. The truth is I'm just working a lot on not being live. I mean, I'm not like trying not to be live, but I got so much work going on, I haven't found the time to be live. So you might see there's new member emojis. These things looked awesome in the proofs and all of that. And then now that I see them here on desktop, I'm a little, that's kind of hard to figure out what it is. It's meant to be Murphy and a color or a shade or something like that. And then how long. So like if you're new, it'll say new. If you've been here, like Joseph right there, I can see, you know, he's got the new one. If you've got one or you've been around 4 years, it'll say 4 years. And that's the new things. We redid it all because they finally implemented year 3 and 4 badges. And so we were kind of had this hodgepodge of stuff, and I was like, let's redo this. We went through graphics with Lizzie and Zenzo, and it, you know, went round and round. It was good. And then we put it here down to this big, and now it's like, that's not the easiest thing to decipher at that size. On mobile, it's a little better though. So, and it looks a little better when people do the green messages. But the goal was so that everybody could see like, oh, that person's been around for 6 months, or that person's new. Let's take care of them in the community. And we're still working on, you know, maybe we'll polish that a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be that way forever. I don't know. Wow, way to call me out. I'll call out every new person. Welcome to the team. You know, it's always embarrassing when you're that new person, but that embarrassment brings on the, hey, that's a new person, help welcome them to the community, answer their questions, all of that. So drawing attention, I think, is a good thing. So don't feel outed, Joseph. Feel welcomed. Let's see. Clear Fabrications, just about to start on my 1,450 gallon. Nice. Is it the same dimensions as the one we've got sitting at the retail store expansion currently? Because that's what ours is, that exact gallonage. I don't know if it's the same dimension-wise. Maybe yours is 20 feet tall or something. But yeah, I stopped at the retail store today while I got my haircut. You may have seen on the community page I was going to get a haircut. I still get my haircut down near the store. Gives me a reason to check in on stuff, and I didn't have to find a new barber, so that helps. And slow and steady. I think we're making good progress. I always forget how long it takes to do things, and even though we did it the first time in 4 months, we did it in a smaller store. We hired out electrical, we hired out a few different things, and we're doing everything in-house. Or at least most stuff in-house these days, and we are doing more things more sophisticated. So I think it's going to take a little bit longer, but it'll be better for it. That's the thing, is I don't want to rush the retail store expansion. We don't need to rush. There's no reason to, and instead just have it be good. So that is our goal. Oh, I forgot to grab a Enjoy Nature Daily sticker. We do have new Enjoy Nature Daily stickers. You guys had asked for it. We got them printed up to kind of be on your car or something like that. We now have those, and but I don't have them with me, so I'm kind of bad at my job. We have new stainless steel check valves for CO2 systems if you're into that. Those are on the website. the airline tubing we sell now comes in a 10-foot pack for a little bit cheaper. We know some of you guys had nano tanks and didn't need 25 feet like ever in your life, so now you can buy it at 10 feet. I think that's most of my announcements. Aqua Shella next weekend, I'll be there. Yeah, now I can just hang out. I feel like I always got to get, what do I even mean to tell people that I forget? Oh, a bunch of new stores. I think we're over 25 stores, and yeah, so good on the wholesale front. I was going to do a whole topic on this, but I think I'm just going to do it now. And I've been doing a lot of deep thinking. I've actually hired a business coach consultant person to help me think deeper about business and where I want to take Aquariumcoop and all of that in general. And one of the tasks is like, well, why are you doing what you do? Like, why, if you make money and you have enough to have a home, why continue to work? And my go-to has always been to make the hobby better. And so when I really started deep diving and thinking about that, and I started looking at different cultures around the world, different hobby, aquarium hobby, and what strengths and weaknesses each one has, and then, what is our weakness and strengths here in America and the hobby in general, and how can I help that? And basically, I think one of the biggest things we can at least do in America, and probably some other countries that I haven't really visited and been able to digest as well as America, obviously, is supporting the mom and pop stores. So my plea is go support a local mom and pop, just like we are, because we were trying to get to the bottom, like why is Aquariumcoop, why am I so passionate about supporting other local stores when they're directly competition? And the answer is because I'm committed to making the hobby better. I know that Aquariumcoop with the retail store and the employees we have in retail will only ever, affect an area this big on the map around it. And to really have a worldwide impact, we need to help instill some of our thoughts, but let them take that and run to make it better. And that's where we started the retail partner program of, well, how can we help you compete against us online and Amazon online and all of these other things? Because if you can't make money as a business well enough, you can't afford to pay employees well enough, which means you can't afford to hire employees that are very passionate about aquatics, which means the hobby then suffers. And so what I think needs to happen, and one of the things I need to do, is be the champion for buying local when you can from mom and pop stores. Now the chain stores, maybe I'll find one someday that has the same line of thinking, but at a mom and pop, when you go in and you spend $200, they're much more likely to be able to reinvest that into that local business and know that, hey, we're making a difference and I made a connection with that customer. Where a chain, if you spend $200, the person making the decisions on, will your local store get upgrades, will it get another employee and all that, you're so far removed that they might not notice the difference. And so I think the difference for the hobby we can do is support our local mom and pop shops, help them to get better. And the easiest way for all of us to do that is to purchase from them, whether it's fish or dry goods or whatever it is. Not so much go in there and be like, you could run your business better if you did it this way. Instead, just patronizing them and spending some money there. And one of my things I've always done is whenever I go into a pet store, I always try to buy something, whether it's a little dog toy, whether it's a little packet of fish food, whether it's a new fish. Because I realize that if I spend an hour somewhere, that's entertainment for me. And I want to make sure that they're there for me to do it again and the next person and all of that. And so it doesn't make any sense in the business world for me to say you should go buy from your local pet store instead of buying from us online, other than the fact that I believe that if you can get a good relationship going with your local store and over time, maybe they're horrible right now, right? But in the next 10 years, if all of the Aquariumcoop fans are supporting local stores, maybe 3 years from now, they're getting better. And 5 years from now, they're halfway decent. And 7 years now, they're pretty good. And 10 years from now, they're really good. Because there was more money going in, more people got attracted to it to work there, they cared about it more, they were able to invest more, and sometimes it's just hard to dig out of a hole. And so I know if that happens at a global scale, or at least even just a United States scale, stores getting better, the hobby will get better for it. The more often you walk into your retail store and find your holy grail fish or a new product or you have a good experience, or your kids have a blast just feeding Murphy or whatever their store mascot is, the more of that that's going on means more people are in the hobby, and we will eventually sell to you. They might not have the Aquariumcoop tote bag. They might not have something else. And we know that if overall the hobby gets bigger and better for it, people stay around longer. So our customers that we have now will stay longer, and then also it will grow. And I think that's good for everybody, because I've seen what happens to communities where the local fish store closes down, where you have to drive hours to a chain store. And for the most part, without a club or something like that, the scene starts to die. It doesn't die overnight. It's not like, well, the store closed, we don't have a hobby anymore. It's over the next 5 to 10 years, you start finding out that there's not that many people locally. And the people that are few and far between. And so that in-person communication and experience and all of that, I still think has lots of value to the hobby, and to truly achieve my goal of making the hobby better. Instead of just making better products and stuff, I've realized that that is one facet of it. Another facet is to help educate, which I try, and we've been doing that on YouTube for a while now, I think, and our blog articles and that kind of stuff. And I think another facet is actually helping, as I'm going to call it, competitors, and turning them, instead of competitors, into, I guess, peers. That's kind of the goal. And I'm excited to see how this plays out long term, and what we can learn from it, and what the stores will learn from us. In fact, last week, I made some business videos that for our retail partner stores. So one, is kind of introducing them to the program, why I'm doing it. And another one was some tips on how they can train employees and, kind of stock their tanks and everything. It's the rule of 3. And so the hope would be that they'll find some value in some of those videos and apply some of them that make sense to their business. And hopefully everybody's experience gets better for it. And then long term, maybe I see them at, I think one of the stores is going to be at Aqua Shella. Maybe they'll tell me, hey, I watched this video. I like what you're doing there. I found this to be a great tip. And maybe our retail store will get better for that. So that's what I've been working on. A lot of, why and how. I think the how we're pretty good at. It's the why are we doing it, and what's still the North Star. Because for the longest time, the North Star was got to be profitable. And I think, and I don't know because I haven't pulled enough people, but I think most people's North Star is that, whether they know it or not. It's kind of an easy thing to know, I need to go to work tomorrow so I can make money, so I can buy a house, so I can raise a kid, so I can buy food. That's kind of an easy concept of like, yep, I'm going to go to work, and then on the weekend I'm going to have fun and all of that. But once you get to a point where, let's say you didn't have to go to work tomorrow, like the money, you're doing okay, well then what is the purpose of life? If it wasn't to get food and shelter and happiness, right? And let's say you have those things, like I get to have any aquarium I want, I've got a home that I enjoy, I've got my dogs, I've got my wife, I've got my friends. So then what is it? Well, and that's where you look to something like, yeah, I really do want to change this hobby. And so by clarifying that, it will allow us to have that North Star for the company and go, this thing that we're about to do, will this help change the hobby for the better? If the answer is yes, we push forward, whether it's money making or not, we can make those decisions. But if we know like, no, this doesn't really, I don't think it's really going to have an impact on the hobby, maybe we shouldn't do that. And that's a good example of that would be, I pulled the plug on the USB cables and stuff that we were doing. I love them, but I think it's a distraction from the North Star, and that is make the hobby better. I don't think us having good electronic cables, even though they're for our products, will actually improve the hobby. And, I have testers and other stuff I'm getting distracted with to make sure, are these cables going to be good? We don't want Aquariumcoop brand to look bad if our cables aren't good. Or I should stick to our expertise and keep making the hobby better. And so it helps realign us on some stuff. And I think that's important. So, yeah. I want to answer some questions before I keep this blabbering. There's some spectacular old school stores, but the new owners are really nailing it in on customer service and fish quality. Yeah, I think that's what it takes. I've known that for a long time, that if you can be beaten on price, let's say an Amazon or something like that can always beat you on price. What is the asset you can sell a customer? And that is customer service, warranties, teaching, ease of exchange, all of these things, right? If all of those things, and if you can remain fairly competitive on price, you don't have to be lowest, but there's a reason why we'll use some retail stores, because they make it so easy that we'll pay a little bit more. If you're gonna, like, everyone would agree, and this is going to be an extreme example, but if you could buy a car online for $20,000, right, and you had to wait for it to be delivered and all this scheduling stuff and all that, or you could walk into a dealership and it was literally $20,000 and $1, and you had the ability to return and all of this, and you already knew the mechanics and all of that, everyone would choose the $20,000 and $1, right? The game becomes, how much more would you pay? Would you pay $21,000? Maybe not. Would you pay $20,000 and $100? Maybe. So what are the benefits outside of the actual product itself to the money exchange? And what we've seen over the years is people are willing to pay for convenience. This is why Aquariumcoop, I identified this fairly early, and our big line is easy. We make things easier. Easy green, the easy LED light that's coming out. When we make something easier, that's a convenience for people. They'll pay for it. And my guess has panned out pretty good, because lots of people will use Uber Eats and all of that. And that's a convenience thing. We would say, like, would you pay, this sandwich is $10, right? Would you pay $15? No way, I would never pay $15. That's 50% increase. That's too much for that sandwich. But if we go, oh, it's $10 and a $5 delivery fee, a big percentage of the economy is consuming that. So, again, it's that benefit package of how do you price stuff, and so, yes, I do think catering to fish, the health, the warranty, the experience, all of that is going to become more and more important, because at the end of the day, otherwise, you could just look at a catalog by price and pick what the cheapest is. So it's always the price and what are the intangibles that go around it that usually will sway someone, whether it's reviews and reputation and all of that. It makes a big difference. And I think people that are taking over some of these businesses that didn't have to compete online now know that they're competing online, and therefore their in-store experience needs to be much better. Rico Stan says, thanks to you and Zenzo for the Keystone Clash help. Yep, if you go to the Keystone Clash, make sure you visit Rico Stan. There will be some swag for you to collect there. We won't be there, but Rico Stan reached out and said, hey, we'd like to give some stuff away. And we said, hey, we'd like to help you with that. So if you're going to that event, make sure you meet up with him. I work in customer service for a Fortune company, and I can say that you are nailing customer service. Candy is incredible. Keep up the great work. Yeah. At some point in the future, we may be hiring a customer service rep. For now, we are expanding it internally, but customer service is a big thing. It's one of those weird things that on the back end, business owners hate customer service because it only costs you money. But the reality is, it's also the thing that makes you money. Something that has really good customer service will pay dividends on. I think we've all been on the other end of that, where you buy something, you get treated badly in customer service, like maybe it's broken or maybe shipping was delayed or whatever the problem is. When you don't get good customer service, you just don't buy from them again. So you can lose money. But really good customer service, it's pretty hard for you to buy more, right? And a lot of businesses are that way. Like, if I sold you a mattress, no matter how good I am at customer service, you're probably not like, you did such a good job, I'm going to buy 2 mattresses. That probably just won't happen. But some industries like ours, like consumables at a smaller level, it does help. Where, yeah, they treat me really well, I will buy from them again next month. Food is that way as well, like human food. How many bladder snails should I feed my 5 pea puffers? They're almost all fully grown. I typically, when I'm feeding snails to puffers, I just put some in, like a handful, or take some, put them in. Usually they'll eat them and not just kill them. And what they don't eat, because maybe they're full, we'll just zoom around in that aquarium, and then they'll eat them the next day. So With people, obviously, you don't really have to worry about trimming down their teeth or anything, so it's mostly an enrichment thing in terms of they like to hunt them, and it's a good way to get minerals and vitamins to your fish. If you keep them in another aquarium and feed them quality foods, well, it doesn't have to be quality, but fish foods and that kind of stuff, when they are then eaten, those will transfer to the puffer. That can be a little bit harder to get inside of them. They don't necessarily like to eat dry foods all the time, and so it can be hard to get nutrients into them outside of frozen foods or live foods. Welcome to the club, Claude. Let's see here. My convicts are protecting eggs. A few are white and the rest are brown. The white means no good, brown are good. Yeah, for the most part, that golden brown type color usually means fertile. White, especially if they start fungusing, usually means either not fertile or we're starting to fungus. Either one. But yeah, it's I would say almost like an amber color might be the better way than the brown. It depends on the egg type. Some are very orangey, some are more brown, some are a little more transparent as well, like angelfish eggs starts out a little more transparent. So not all fish eggs are necessarily the same color and easy to tell. Advice for doing your first livebearer tank. I'm worried about keeping the babies alive. For the most part, you want to focus on lots of hiding spots. And that could be live or fake plants, that could be tons of rocks, but all the nooks and crannies. You know when you try to catch a fish and they dive under the sponge filter and behind the heater and all that? You want to make more scenarios like that, where instead of you trying to catch fish, it's the guppy or the swordtail or whatever it is trying to eat them. They dart behind that thing and they're now saved. And as they can keep doing that, imagine they're in a paintball course or something and people are firing on them. The more things they could hide behind, the more they're going to be able to dart out, grab some food, dart back. And as they do that, they get bigger and bigger, and pretty soon now they're the predators. And so that's what you're looking to do when you're looking to raise up fry in a communal state like that. And, it can be as primitive as like Easter grass, like that stuff that you see in Easter baskets. You just put a bunch of that in there. It could be spawning mops with acrylic yarn, or it could be live plants or plastic fake plants or anything, so long as there's something to duck behind. That's really the go-to, I think. I have a couple of axolotls, and they recently had lots of eggs. They all fungused before I saw them. Does that mean that they're female and male, or will they lay eggs without a male? I don't know that to be 100%. I have bred them, but I don't know if females will just lay. I will say this. To an untrained person, if you've only ever seen fish eggs before, you might think that axolotl eggs are fungusing, when in reality, they just look really weird as they kind of like get that gel. I'm going to call it a jelly. I don't know what it's called, but like that jelly to form around that egg. It looks different to me. So make sure that that's what's, it's actual fungus and not like, oh yeah, axolotl eggs just look weird. That's what I was actually seeing. But I don't know. I mean, I would assume most fish and stuff will, so it probably could just lay even without a male. But I'm trying to remember. Don't you just look? Isn't it like, I don't know what that part is called, but basically back by their legs at the base of the tail, there's usually a different shape there that would dictate male and female, I believe. By the way, I got my lower braces on yesterday. My teeth are killing me. The tops are fine. Now I'm just cutting up the bottom of my lip all day. It's great. Let's see here. I want to do an outdoor pond in a 30-gallon tub. I'm worried about the heat here in Southern California. Can I keep fish in these tubs, or is my selection limited? I think you can. Shade helps you. Being in the ground helps you. Potentially, well, not potentially. An air stone would help also. Maybe a little fan to blow across the water to create evaporative cooling, whether that's solar or just normal. All of these things can help. And I think we don't give fish enough credit to how hardy they are. They can get very hot in some of the places they come from. They can get very hot in shipping sometimes. And I think obviously don't leave it on your asphalt driveway where it's going to get 24/7 sun. Make some efforts to shade it and those types of things. And I think you'll find some species that will do well for you and some that are just doing okay and some that really don't tolerate it. But I've always had pretty good luck. And we don't have, it's not 120 degrees, but even the people that do, a lot of times you get it on the shady side of the house. You might, change some water once a week, get it a little bit cooler, create some evaporative cooling going on, all of those things. And that was a topic I was thinking about talking about was, how to cool aquariums down. We have videos and blog articles on it, but, the first thing I recommend is kind of turning the lights off. Lights in general transfer some heat. And then, agitation at the top of the water. You could have your filter splashing. That splashing mechanism, the water that evaporates cools down a little bit. You could blow a fan across it. Like I've got a fan here that'll blow across my feet, but any little fan blowing across the water helps evaporate. You'll get a lot of evaporation going, but that helps cool the water down. Like in the store right now, when we used to sell axolotls, we would have to do that during the summer. And we found that it would, on average, in the store setting, would lower the water temp by 9 degrees. Now, that's pretty good. Because let's say it was, most of the time it was 74 degrees. In the summer, it's not really going to hit 90 water temp. But even if it did, it'd be down to 81. That's tolerable, even though they would not like it. And so a lot of times, even when it was hot out, those tanks would be running at like 76. Not so bad at all. And just know that all electronics add some heat. So, you might want to unplug your heaters. You don't want them to turn on for a minute just to go, ooh, hot enough, turn back off. If you're running way too much filtration, so let's say you've got 3 FX5 filters on your African cichlid tank. Each one of those has a 35 watt motor. That's essentially going to be 105 watts of heating going on all the time. If you could get away with one of those, which you probably could, but for sure you could probably get away with 2 instead of the third, that would help lower the heat that's going to be going on in your aquariums. So, kind of just do some smart thinking. Yeah, you could float frozen water bottles and all that. That's all temporary fixes, maybe on those hottest days. But, a good accurate thermometer and doing steps like, hey, I just didn't turn the light on for a week. And, hey, I made sure the sun's not coming through the window on it. All of these things will make a much bigger impact. And let's say you're like, oh, I have to turn the lights on. I have plants. Well, maybe you only turn them on for 4 hours instead of 10, and you do it at night instead of during the day, right? And do what you can to lower the temp in the room. Like most times, I would have light on, but being that it's been so hot, I don't. And so I'll run it like this. Because these lights actually use hundreds of watts of electricity. They'll make a lot of heat. It's 80 degrees even with the AC running because the sun is on top, just bearing down. And since I'm up top here in this top room, all around me is hot shingles from the roof. So that's just radiating heat as well. So we're at 80 degrees and, it's not unbearable in here. But think smart, My garage is also very hot, like where I park the car. And so I wouldn't put a tank out there because I know it's kind of insulating and getting super hot. And there's no airflow in there. We installed some new fans at the warehouse to help cool it down at night. That might be something you guys could do. Open up the windows, get a fan going, cool it down, lock everything back up in the morning so that it's not heating up with the day. Any update on when the updated heaters will be in and any chance they'll be added to the partner program? I fully believe they will be part of the partner program. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. And as for when, I'm not sure on that timeline. I know there's a couple containers coming before that, but my guess would be like November-ish. Could be sooner. I honestly don't know. I just know that they're, as far as I know, already being produced. I just don't think they're on a boat yet. So I know we've paid a lot of money for them, so I would assume, yeah, supply chain, as always, a little mixed up. Bringing home 180 for my Aqua Puffer tomorrow. Nice. That's good. I've got my new tank showing up for the studio, hopefully. I'm hoping early part of next week. I actually got to look. With my luck, it'll show up while I'm at Aqua Shella, and it's going to be a nightmare for my wife. So I'll be trying to do everything I can to avoid that situation. I also have a canister filter in a wine fridge, with the lines run through the top on the fridge. That's always been an idea to use like those little mini fridges and stuff. I hadn't thought about just doing the canister filter in there. That makes... I'd be interested. So I would love to know, like, what was the temp running before? You put that thing in there every day, like, is the temp dropping by a little bit and it settles out a certain thing? That's kind of cool. I like that. That might be a workable thing. I don't know, though. You know, it could be one of those, like, did all this and it lowers it by 1 degree. Like, oh, okay, well, that's... You know, we might have been better switching from a canister to an air or a sponge filter and got that same thing. All right. Joseph's got an urgent request. Let's see. A female ram is bullying everybody else because she's not the prettiest in the tank. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to call her. Give her a timeout, though, and then reintroduce her. Maybe she'll settle down. I don't like it when fish fight. I like to watch fish to, you know, kind of mellow out. Good plant recommendations for an Oscar in a 75-gallon. Yeah, well, you know, you could try some Java Fern. That's probably what I would start with. If they tear it up, just move on to plastic. That's where I would go. You'll see some people have great success. You'll also see it work for a year or two, and then they'll chomp down on it. But I would just buy like one Java Fern, see how that goes for a month. If they're not chewing on it, you could try some other stuff. But most people go with fake plants out of just ease with those guys. Who's going to Aqua Shella next week? Yeah, I wonder how many of you guys will show up. I know that myself, Zenzo, Irene, and Dean are showing up. So there's at least that. Extreme will be there as well. I didn't get a chance to look through all of the like the vendors that will be there. So I'm trying to think if there's anything that I didn't see anything where I'm like, wow, I didn't expect them. Let's see. Guppy grass and duckweed for Oscars? Yeah, maybe. Duckweed for sure, but I don't consider duckweed like a plant. Which I realize it is. I'm just saying, I think when you're talking to most people and they go, I want to put plants in my tank. They're not thinking the annoying plant that floats on the top. They're thinking visually, I want to see something. Guppy grass, it might be able to tolerate that, but it's also very easy to tear apart. So if they're in that chewing mode, guppy grass becomes a real pain in the butt too. Might work though. When will the talks be? I think mine is Saturday at 5 p.m., but I think Dean might be at 3 on Saturday, but they might be moving us around a little bit. I'm not sure when Irene's is. It's got to be on the website. I just don't have them all memorized. And I do remember someone had asked earlier, which days will I be at Vivarium? I'll be at both days. So you don't have to pick Saturday or Sunday. I'll be there both days. So don't worry about that. I looked at tickets to Dallas when I thought you might have those totes, but I couldn't get the paid time off request approved. Yeah. My hope is that we'll be able to work that out anyway. We still have to go through the offering of shipping to members. We're working towards that, but this thing is super bulky, and we're trying to make sure that we just don't lose a ton of money. I don't have to make money, but I'm going to try not to lose a ton of money. That's never good when you're in meetings about, so we shipped a tote, it got lost, we shipped another one, like, overall the totes we sold this month were down $1,000. Like, what? Should have given away $1,000 instead. All right. Oh, we do have another new product. We brought in Slime Out from Fritz, which gets rid of cyanobacteria. So if you're battling the cyanobacteria, I have tested it myself. It does work, just like erythromycin works. But yeah, it took me a little while because I had to get that blue-green algae going. Tomorrow I'm going to be filming with Scene Fod Aquatics. He's coming over. We're going to do like a fish room tour, I guess, what he wants to do. So I'll do that early in the AM. And I'm trying to think of what else I've got going on. There's a link in chat for the speakers at Aqua Shella. I've heard of people feeding blanched grape or mulberry leaves to their shrimp. Are there any fish that will eat them too? I would think so. You know, most fish, well, maybe not most, that might not be the right word. A lot of fish will just feed on whatever they can find in the wild. And you'll see them just chewing on stuff because they're hungry. And whether they spit it back out or not. But I do think you'd see some plecos and other catfish chew on some stuff like that. You know, shrimp will basically eat anything. And because they get a wide variety of like, hey, that's a dead fish, that's decaying fruit, that's decaying leaves, that's decaying tree bark, whatever it is, because there's all that stuff landing in waterways, they get their vitamins that way. So I do think, you know, I personally think nutrition on shrimp is overhyped a little bit. That being said, there is the polar opposite of like people not feeding their shrimp at all. And I kind of feel like from seeing just different breeders and operations and that kind of stuff, it's not so much what specifically shrimp are eating or a fish is eating. It's how often and is it even remotely decent. You know, like if I'm feeding my shrimp Diet Coke cans, like clearly that's not going to work. But like, oh, you're feeding a shrimp food or a fish food and a variety, probably going to be fine. Outside of severe lacks of like, there's no calcium in your water at all, like, yes, you need to supplement some. That's not a thing that they can do. Just like there's no oxygen in the water, your fish are going to die. You have to supplement oxygen. Something new for cyanobacteria? Is Slime Out in the store? I believe so, yeah. We have it on the website. It should be in the retail store as well. I saw it on our employee digital screen, so I have to assume it's in the store as well. Yeah, saving questions for the next live stream, but they're all business and marketing related. Yep, I love talking business, but it's not really good for business, I guess. Like it doesn't make people buy our stuff. It doesn't necessarily reach the store level owner that it would need to. So I'm repurposing some of that time into making those videos. Even though I do love talking business, because I guess I like talking about it because it's like, for me, it's like discussing my notes from experiments I've run. Because while I study a lot of other people's experiments in business, I always have to run my own, just like I have to research and try my own products and everything. And so what I find interesting is my own bias in the way I do business changes the results. So when people say, you can't do that, that doesn't work, and then I do it and it does work, and it's like, oh, but you're not doing X, Y, and Z, you know, you didn't have this going for you, that's a different market. You know, a great example would be that great customer servicing, you know, what works in the mattress world doesn't necessarily work in the fish world, right? It's just different. The repeat purchase on a mattress is once every 10 years. That's a way different model than repurchase every month from a company like ours. How long can Shubunkins stay in a 55? I do see a pond in my future. I think they can go a few years. Like there's always going to be people that would say like 6 minutes, 6 years. I've had mine for 20 years. it will come down to how hot is the water, like how fast is metabolism going, how much are you feeding, how much are you water changing. All those are part of the equation on what is the right answer here. I believe personally that if I had like 3 shubunkins and a 55, I could go probably 3 or 4 years, probably slowing down the food as I was like, oof, you know, they are getting big. Got to build that pond. Am I doing it this summer? Ooh, not going to be this summer. I better, I better go feed them less. And I'm not saying that like we would starve them, but there is definitely like a maintenance diet versus a trying to grow them diet. And especially like in the koi and goldfish world, like during the summer, you can feed very high proteins, got silkworm and all of that kind of stuff in it to really bring out colors and put on fat for the winter and growth. Where maybe on that last year, you're going, you know what, I just don't quite have the time or can't get it done this year. I'm going to move them over to the maintenance diet of more like wheat germ and stuff, so they will subsist, but not really grow muscle and body mass. And then knowing that once I get them into the pond, I can then ramp it up again and do that. And that'll be the difference between, my shubunkins only ever got this big as opposed to getting this big, and the body was only this tall instead of this tall. But to me, my enjoyment isn't could I grow the absolute massive biggest fish. My enjoyment is, did I enjoy keeping them? Were they personable? Did I have to clean it a ton or not? Like I just want it so I enjoy it, not so that necessarily my enjoyment doesn't come from winning the competition. It comes from just enjoying it. And even when I had koi that would place in competitions, it was still, I want to have this thing come and greet me and eat and have fun. And then if it does well in competition, great. Other people thought it was good too. But I wouldn't go, well, I'm going to change the way I interact with my fish so that I could win the competition. A lot of people would, especially in those. But for me, first and foremost, I have to enjoy it. And then, maybe I'm growing it for the store to sell it, or I'm breeding it or something like that. And that's happened over time. It used to be I had to, if I invest big money, I had to get them to breed so I could buy the next thing. Now I focus much more on, now that I've kind of been through all the fish, I keep fish that I want to that make no sense other than I like the way that fish looks. It doesn't make sense to own 2 giant Mabu puffers. Like when I was getting my haircut, I stopped by and got 8.8 pounds of clams so it'll last a couple of weeks for Ladybird. And then Murphy's eating a ton also. So it doesn't make sense other than I really enjoy interacting and looking at Mabu pufferfish. So that's always my driving factor. Do I have water running on in the background? No, I just have an air conditioner going right over here. So does anyone remember which video Dean said flu ball's tripping? I don't know. I feel like we've said that a million times, so I'm not sure which video that would be in. Am I going anywhere else in Texas while I'm at Aqua Shella? I don't think so. Outside of like, a little place to eat maybe around the convention center, but I don't have any dedicated things. I am going to be there a little bit extra, so there's always the chance that like maybe I'll stop in at a store or something, but also those get jammed up pretty easily with meetings or something. Sometimes people use an event like this to be like, hey, I'm this corporation, we want to talk. I go, hey, after the show, maybe we could do, breakfast or lunch. I got to fly out around dinner time. So I don't try to, I used to try and always book those things in, and then it became like, I got to come at 6 a.m. to have a meeting. Then by 8 we can go to this store. Then by noon I got to fly out. So now I try to dial it back. Fish marketing related. What can we do during auctions to encourage higher bidding for less popular species? We have rare apistos going for $8 a pair. I think, so from what I've seen, it really depends on your auctioneer. Are they super personable? Are they seen as knowledgeable? And then are they actually trying to get people to buy? And so like when I've auctioneered for some clubs before, when I've done talks, I'll say like this pair of fish, normally I would sell in my own store. We sell these for $60. Like maybe it's a rare pair. And, I would talk it up. Maybe I would talk about, hey, here's how you're going to breed these. These aren't ones where you're going to have to drop the pH super low. They've got a good resale value. And then I would say, and I'm starting the bidding at 20 bucks, right? We want to make sure, and you might even throw in something like, we want to make sure we support these breeders because they could sell this fish for more to a wholesaler. And if you want other cool fish to keep showing up at these local auctions, we need to pay at least that bare minimum. Otherwise, they just won't show up. It's the same reason why someone like Dean doesn't have any reason to bring fish to our local auctions. He can bring stuff that I will buy off him wholesale for $10 a piece, and they go for $1 a piece at the club. There's no reason for him to do that other than charity, and he will do that. He will basically bring in donations and all of that. That does happen, but the goal for a club, I think, is make it so the breeder doesn't feel like they're doing a donation. They don't need to be getting retail, but they need to be getting a fair exchange, right? $8 for a pair of Apistos. They may have consumed more than $8 in brine shrimp by that point. That doesn't factor in the time to raise them and the water changes and all of that, because some of that is the fun. But at the end of the day, if a store like me would give them 20 bucks for the pair and they have too many experiences where they're getting $8 a pair, then they'll just stop doing that. I know one of Dean's specific complaints is he can bring discus, or I think it was rare plecos. He can bring high-end stuff and it might go for 20 bucks, whereas 20 red cherry shrimp will go for 40 bucks. And red cherry shrimp, you can throw in any body of water, come back a month later, will have made more. And so that's demoralizing for a breeder. Why work with a hard species when you can just do that and make way more money? And so part of it is kind of like supporting the local mom and pop store. You need, well, I mean, I think I know you run that club. And so I think part of our jobs is to instill in other people what are the values outside of price for these items. And the biggest one that I've been talking about right there would be if it's not a win-win situation, it'll just stop. And that we see that all the time. That breeder doesn't do those anymore? No, I was losing lots of money. No one does something willingly to lose lots of money. They have to at least break even. And at $8 a pair, that's too cheap. And I've done this sometimes. I'm not saying I do it always, but sometimes maybe you need to be the right voice in the crowd. And you go, you raise your hand, like, I'll pay 20, even though they're trying to get $5. You go, hey, those are worth at least 20. I'll give 20. And so you're kind of helping reset the expectations of the crowd. And maybe someone outbids you and you go, great. Maybe you end up taking them home. That's fine as well. But if you're in that situation, and I am, that if I can get some more money to that breeder, that's a good thing. If I can show some other people that, hey, these are good fish and you should want to bid on them, that's another good thing. Some people will say, like, this guy's trying to bid people up. That's that glass half full or glass half empty. Am I trying to make everybody pay more money? Or am I trying to make the breeder make enough money so that he'll show up next week with more cool fish? It has to be a balance. And depending on where you're sitting, some people will say, oh, that guy's doing the wrong thing. The next person would say, hey, you're doing the right thing. And so if the change you want to see is fish go for a little bit more, not retail. I don't think at a club auction stuff should go over retail or close to retail. I think there should be a good happy medium there, but I also don't think that it should go below wholesale. And I do see that where you'll see a bag of guppies and like, oh, 40 guppies went for $3. Like wholesale guppies are like never less than $1. And especially if they're nice ones, they might be $7 a piece if they're a known species, or not species, but known variant. And so I do think that people that want to see cooler stuff at their clubs, that's where money is. Money's got to be there for that to happen. Is it better to pull black ram fry or leave them with the parents? If they'll raise them, leaving them with the parents is better. If they eat them, pull them out. Just finished a long day of farming, and your title couldn't be more spot on. Yeah, it's hot outside. I got a wicked bad sunburn on my knees from mowing last week. I tried to mow early in the day, and so I was still wearing the gym workout clothes, and I was like, yeah, except the gym workout shorts are like this much shorter. So I had like a band of like bright red on fire sunburn. And just now in the last, like today, it's not itchy finally. So I don't envy having to work outside, especially if you're not used to it like me. Yeah. I probably have a good farmer's tan going. Like, you can see, been doing some mowing, and then like, yep, that's a farmer's tan. Is keeping cherry shrimp. Wait, I'm keeping cherry shrimp, and I want to transition to cardinal shrimp. What is the biggest difference in their care? Well, for me, I've probably made 50,000 cherry shrimp in my life and made tons of money. And I've basically killed every cardinal shrimp I've ever come in contact with and never reproduced one. So the difference in care for me is a lot. Higher temperatures, harder water, but I still haven't been able to reproduce them. So for me personally, I'm not the person to ask, because I'm going to tell you they're much harder. You might find someone that breeds them very easily. I've tried wild caught, I've tried captive bred. I've only tried them seriously twice. One was all wild caught, very expensive, kept them going for 6 or 8 months, but they just died out. And then I had the same experience with captive bred ones here in the harder water. I still have a few left, but no breeding action out of them. That being said, I haven't cranked the temperature up. So I do realize that some of this is on me. And yeah, I haven't figured it out yet. Oh, that's another announcement. So Brian Marshall says, ordered from Aquariumcoop as soon as I saw Blake's post. Package arrived in less than 3 weeks to New Zealand. That's right. We are now shipping to Australia and New Zealand. So if you live there and you haven't seen our announcements that were on Facebook or Blake's video he did, you're now informed and you could order from us. Everyone goes, is my country next? And I always say, I don't know. We're still looking into all the different laws and regulations in your country. I saw a comment like, why not ship to the EU? Can't be much harder than Australia. And it's kind of like saying, you've learned one foreign language. Why can't you learn them all? Like, it's not easy. There's different countries have different sets of rules, and everyone's different. So we're navigating the best we can. We've had applications denied. We didn't fill out the forms the right way. We're applying again. We've got different people working on it. So slow and steady, we're working on it as we can. Let's see. Was I invited to Animal Con? Not that I know of. That doesn't mean that our company wasn't. Like, maybe it went through customer service or someone else, and maybe people on my team have already looked at it and decided it wasn't worth bringing it up to me. That sounds horrible. That's not the way I meant that sound. But I was having a conversation with like Fish Room Fever. They invited us to an event next year. And I said, well, we got to see attendance numbers. We got to see how many people do we have that buy from us or even locally that might attend. We got to see like how many members do we think might show up, all of this. Because at the moment, like the last Aqua Shella, it cost us 20 grand to do it. Hoping this one will only cost us like 10 or 15, but we don't want to spend a ton of money and be like, we shook hands with 17 people. You know, we want to make sure that it makes sense to have however many people we're flying out, the hotel rooms, the stuff we're giving away, all of that makes sense. And not that it always has to be a high level production, but for the most part, when people show up, they're like, well, where's the free shirt? You always give away free shirt. Like, well, this was a smaller event. There was only going to be 100 people. We didn't do that. So yeah, I'm not sure if we've been formally invited, but it's not top of mind for me because I didn't know about it. So maybe that answers the question. By the way, I think I'm calling this early. And what I mean by that is only doing about an hour or so to one, the sweat, not enjoying that. My body temperature always rises when I live stream for some reason. It's super weird because I'm not nervous or anything like that. I just know that every time I'm done, it's like, oh yeah, there's the sweaty armpit. I can work all day and not get a sweaty armpit, but for some reason, there's probably some mental thing that goes on in the back of my brain that there's a heightened sense going on somehow. Body temperature raised while live streaming, and yeah, so I'm only going for an hour. That's why I'm also using this camera. One, because it's a little easier, but it doesn't run as hot as the other cameras. I'm trying to keep this room a little cooler, so. So what you're saying is you want us to come up and say hi? I don't know what that's in reference to, but yes, definitely. That is the goal at events. Come, shake hands, get a selfie, exchange a little bit, maybe ask a quick question. We try to limit it to, and maybe we might even have a timer this next event. We're trying to limit it so that the line isn't 2-hour wait. And to do that, that might mean it's like, okay, each person you get 2 minutes. And that's not a long, meaningful interaction, but we also don't have a good system on, well, how do we pick 100 people out of the 2,000 people that want this to spend more time? So we're always trying to evolve the lines and the shows to manage the crowds, keep it safe. And what I mean, like, fights break out. People think other people are cutting, and you're in the line for an hour, then you got to go use the restroom, you have someone hold your spot, they're backward turned, now they think you're cutting. Like, we're trying to avoid all of that. It's just big groups of people, misunderstandings, and we also, over time, want to try and get entertainment to be a little bit better. What can we provide you to do while you're in line, and so we're bringing more people. I think that's going to help. Maybe we can have Dean walking up and down the line, or maybe maybe everyone wants to meet Dean too, and so maybe Zenzo or Irene will be walking up and down the line. But we do basically take we talk about the event after the fact, but what can we do a little bit better next time? And we're in a different part this time, so we're hoping that we won't create as much of a traffic jam and that kind of stuff. And short of setting up like a roped off area and everything, which we have talked about and considered, how do we move that from event to event? We've talked about a ticketing system or a numbering system. There's also, I wasn't even supposed to speak at this Aqua Shella, but somehow something got missed in communication with the people making the speaker announcements, and they announced that I was speaking. Because it's really hard if you have a line of 200 people. Now I have to go speak. People don't necessarily want to stand in line for an hour while I go speak, but then they also don't, like, if they've already been waiting an hour, they don't want to lose the time that they've been waiting. So there's this weird, like, ooh, what do we do? So yeah. If you don't want to meet Dean, there's something wrong with you. Yeah, it's we'll see. We'll see how crazy the booth gets. It's always a good time, exhausting, and yeah. So I'll be kind of out of pocket next weekend, which maybe I'll live stream. But I got a lot on my plate to get done before then. It always that way. I guess the last thing that I could start transitioning people to is, over time, you're going to see less of me. And I'm going to work on the business just as much, but I want to work on some other things that are going on. And right now I'm still beholden to the weekly video. Someone asked, Bill asked if Dean is speaking. Yes, Dean will be giving a talk at Aqua Shella. So what you're going to see some more of my teammates, Zenzo, Irene, Robert, Brandon, other people on the channel, and you're going to see me doing videos, just not as many filler videos. So like top fives, that kind of stuff. And the goal will be, if we free me up more to design products, work on some other facets of the business that you guys don't know about yet, and travel a bit more, I can make some videos that I want to make. But right now, like, I'd be going, I got to make some videos so I have extras to weave in while I'm at Aqua Shella. We're also going to try to put out some more videos per week. So just know that this is a thing that we're doing to sustain me doing live chats and videos for many, many, many years to come, as opposed to being on the hook for 52 plus videos a year and burning out. Because the burnout is happening of like, what am I going to make a video on? And it frees me up, right? So the freedom is, I can go film tomorrow with Bob, because that'll be fun, and a fish room tour, and not instantly have to go, okay, Bob, have fun, and then film my own fish room tour, right? Because that would be the cadence in the past of like, I got to make sure I do my own, I got to do this, I got to do that. And so instead, you might see me popping up on some other channels and doing some other stuff. I'm not going anywhere, but it'll relieve the, oh my gosh, I got to get 6 videos done before I go to Aqua Shella, which means I can't live stream, which means I can't do this, I can't do that. So just know that over time, you're going to see that. And I don't want people to go like, yep, he's leaving. It's not that. It's that I want to work on. So, and I can't, it's always lame when you can't say like, if I told you some of the other projects I was working on, you'd be like, that makes sense. That's going to be great. Go do that. Instead, you have to take my word for it. And then when you, like, let's say we're 2 years down the road and things work out, because sometimes things don't work out. And then you're like, yeah, you said you're going to do a thing. It never happened. But if those things work out, you'll be like, oh, yeah, it's great when Corey can work on some other stuff because this thing gets better and that thing gets better. So, yeah. But workload balance is so important. Yeah, it is important. And I usually just fight it with more hours, and I'm trying to not do that. I'm trying to go, I need to stop working for the day. Just like I need to end this live stream. Like I budgeted an hour, like I need to stop live streaming. I need to work on some of the other things so I'm not at 10 o'clock at night going, well, let's make up for that live stream hour, and I got to do this work. So, do you need an accountant? You can pay me in Dean's Dark Knight Rams. Also, can I cut the flower off my Nubius? Yep, you totally can cut the flower off your Nubius. And at the moment, we have an accountant. And that being said, with all the craziness that's going on with even American e-commerce and wholesale and international sales, we could find ourselves needing an international accountant and tax person. We're already interviewing some tax stuff, some tax firms to handle that, but we might need in-house stuff. But that's a thing that we would announce when we decide we actually need this. We understand the scope of what we're trying to hire for and what are some of the things that we would want people to be well versed in. We're not at that point yet, so we don't even, you could send a resume and be like, great, we have no idea what we need in the skill set yet, so we can't act on it. Thanks for applying. We'll let you know someday maybe. So, all right. I've got work to do. I've enjoyed hanging out with, how many showed? 700 people showed up today. Thank you so much. I'll see, hopefully, a big pile of you guys at Aqua Shella. If you're going, wear a shirt or a hat or something like that. I always want the other vendors and people to put on the show and everything to know that Aquariumcoop people have shown up. That helps ease the burden of us getting what we want. And that's usually like, put us over here so we're not jamming up the line, or hey, help us. This time we convinced them to bring out Dean. So originally we kept pitching like, yeah, you should bring out Dean. And they go, he doesn't have social media. No one wants to see this guy. And I'm like, yes, trust me, bring Dean. He'll have a full crowd for his talk. Like, you need to start putting some trust in. We don't make many recommendations. When we do, give us a chance. So hopefully you'll wear a bunch of Aquariumcoop stuff. You'll make sure that Dean's talk is absolutely packed. It'll prove a point. And that'll help us get more and more people that we want to suggest to get there, to be, put up in a hotel, flown out, and talk to you guys. So hopefully we can keep building upon that. This will be the first, see, you listen, and it happened. That's so. And if no one shows up, then it'll be, see, no one showed up. You don't know anything, Corey. I hate when those days happen. They don't happen too often. So, all right, enjoy the day. Try to stay cool out there, and buy all of our stuff after you're done buying all the stuff from your local fish store. When you've bought them out and they've run out and